Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And at the outset, it's a privilege for me to address this distinguished gathering. And before I do so, I would like to thank the nasscom for having given me this opportunity to interact with you all on a subject which is, I think, the most talked about today in the world. I would not hesitate to say that with firm conviction, and as I go along in my talk, you will realize that how important this has become for the future of warfare. And let me also share with you that the recent conflict which you saw of 88 hours, as far as India was concerned, of Op Synindur, it has brought home one message very clear, and that is that all of you are national fighters or warriors. As you will realize as we go ahead, the sense of depth has been lost. You are equally targeted as the units and the formations on the front are concerned. With that, before I start, as is always normal, you know that if I share an anecdote, you understand the importance of the subject better. So I had been to the US. I was doing a postgraduate program there when I was a colonel. And immediately when I finished my program at Naval Postgraduate School, California, Monterey, I was posted back to India and I had to command a brigade. A brigade is something like 2-3 battalions come under it. And I was somewhere in the northern sector, which is very, very sensitive, facing our western adversary. And as you all know, infiltration is a very, very common phenomena which happens there. And especially my sector was very sensitive in the sense there used to be cross-border raids, etc., which used to take place. And we used to lose men. And therefore, it became kind of a concern to me as commander that I must be able to intercept these guys before they cross over to Pakistan, because it used to take them just about five odd minutes to cross over the line of control. So what could I do to stop these people? So I had just seen the Three Idiot movies at that time, and there I saw this drone flying up and doing something, of course, in a different setting, in a different environment. So I made a project and I sent it to my superior, and I said that if I have this, I can modify it to carry some grenades. It can drop those grenades in front before these guys are running away and closing on to the line of control. They'll have to take shelter, so I get that much more time to intercept them and neutralize them. You know, the reply which I got, and this was 2009, is the year which I'm talking about. The reply which I got was, don't play around with toys, do some professional soldiering. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are playing around with the toys as though they are life and death for every military in the world. So therefore, sometimes in our I would say, thinking process, our visions are very narrow, and especially in the defense, and it is true for all defense. If you see the example of US, the Secretary of Army, in fact, Secretary of Defense is now known as Secretary of War. Okay, so they have changed the designation also. And he has given very, very firm orders for the US Army to transform itself. Why? An army which is already so far ahead in technology is being given orders to transform to meet the challenges of the future. They are seeing the wars which are going around us, and therefore possibly everybody is looking at this drone. So do I change the slides or it can? Yes? Okay. I will cover my talk basically in these heads, basically geopolitics and battlefield milieu. I'm not going to talk about too much about geopolitics, just to tell you the highlights of how it is affecting the battlefield milieu. And then I'll talk about tsunami of technologies, which I keep referring to it today. Before I induct a technology, it is outdated the next day. So that is the kind of speed with which we have to do a lot of things in the defense, which is becoming a major problem for us. And it is happening in terms of logistics, it is happening in terms of training, etc., etc. Global impact of drones on war fighting. This will be covered in fairly good detail. Op Synindur. I thought if I've come here, I must talk about Op Synindur because most of the people would be asking those questions. So I thought, let me just preempt you all. And then I'll be talking of the 3 C's of drone warfare. And these 3 C's of drone warfare are restricted to India in the sense what is our capability, what is our capacity, and what are our challenges. These are the 3 C's which I'm mentioning. And finally, the opportunities for industry and the innovators. So, I was having a discussion before this talk with somebody, and I said, do you know the difference between innovation and technology or transformative technology? So she asked me exactly what is the difference. So I told in a very, very local language of Hindi, innovation means jugaad. So Op Synindur was actually a lot of innovations which we saw through during those 88 hours of the operations, and they were done at rapid fire speed, and we proved very, very effectively against our adversaries, and I think we emerged hands down victors. So, okay, coming down to the next one. The next one is, yeah. How do you change that? Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll talk about the geopolitics. You see, a few years back, we used to call that the world is becoming VUCA, vulnerable, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. What I say, the world is becoming BANI. And BANI is basically brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. A lot of this has to be also attributed to, our friends who are there in the far across the oceans. He's also making this particular statement true in some form or the other. But why I'm saying so is that, there are few databases which say that there are 100 plus conflicts going around the world. There are some databases which say that there are about 56 conflicts going around the world. And a more, I would say, balanced database says that the names of the databases are down below on the slide. I don't want to repeat them. There are about 30 plus conflicts. I go by the 30 plus conflicts just to keep you all at peace that you're not actually into a World War III. But if you plot them on the map, what do you see? I think you see a world at war. And you see the world at war where the World War II was fought. It is generally the same area where we are seeing all these conflicts. And in this, the worst of all is the South Asian and the Asian continent, where you find maximum. In fact, when you get up in the morning, you don't know where there is going to be a conflict. A few days back, you must have got up and you must have heard Nepal under some kind of a major crisis. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, you name it. There are so many others. Colombia. Everywhere. You heard Doha. I mean, Doha people used to think was something, which is the safest place for anyone to go, even the terrorists to go there and have a talk with them. And what happened to the Hamas leaders is history now. So what I'm saying is that the world today is in a very, very unstable world, and it is undergoing a churn. And because of this churn, what is happening is that the battlefield milieu is changing. Now, the next slide which I want to show is a take from this particular aspect, that earlier we used to say that we are at war and technology is supporting us. Now I am saying that the technology has become the battlefield. It is the technocrats now who are actually driving the battlefield. They devise something and the whole strategy has to be changed, realigned to that. In Russia-Ukraine war, innovations have been taking place by the hour. It is a recorded fact that the maximum number of innovations have taken place during Russia-Ukraine war. A fire which used to take, artillery fire which used to take 40 minutes to go on the target, it is now taking just about 3 to 4 minutes. Imagine Ola, Uber-like apps were used to bring down accurate fire on the Russian artillery. And likewise, the Russians have also picked up fast enough, and they're also doing the same thing with the Ukrainians. So this particular technology is today actually dominating the warfare. And so what is the battlefield milieu? Don't go by the complexities of this particular slide. What I want to highlight 3-4 big things is that warfare is no more a specific domain warfare. The warfare is across the domains: space, land, sea, air, cyberspace. All this is playing out simultaneously. What is it leading to? It is leading to a multi-domain warfare, which means that simultaneously activities will be taking place. It is also leading to change from mass to precision. That is because of the technology. We can avoid a masjid and hit into the den of a terrorist camp. That's the kind of precision which is now happening in today's world. Like, for example, the recent attack in Doha. It was something similar. They did try to avoid all other collateral damages in order to hit the place where this particular meeting was taking place. The next big construct is the age of acceleration. So, I mean, in the previous talk also you saw it. Speed is essential. And because of this, you find that the OODA loop, OODA loop is something called observe, orient, detect, and act, which means that you acquire a target, fix it, and then attack it. This loop is getting shortened. You will not believe that while sitting here, you might get attacked. That's the kind of transparency which has been actually obtained by our adversaries. And we are also trying our level best to catch up to that particular capability. Just to inform to all of you that we did manage to do so in Op Synindur to a great level through some last minute readjustments and reorganizations in our assets. So you are in safe hands. That's why I said this last line for all of you. Then you look at the kind of technologies which are there. You see the types of drones which I have listed: nano drones, tethered drones, kamikaze drones. The Sutradhar also mentioned about it. These are actually causing great damage to our whether the forces or whether the infrastructure, any kind of target. You see, this is what happens whenever there is a game-changing technology which comes in. Once the tanks came, they were like blitzkrieg. Nobody had an answer for it. You got the anti-tanks. In a similar story, the air power came in, and now you have this so-called technology of tsunami of technology. We need to have counters for this, and you'll be possibly disheartened to know that as of now we are struggling with the counter-UAS technology. In the sense, people are working on directed energy weapons, laser weapons, etc. But we have not achieved the same kind of a prowess which we should achieve. So this is one area for the industry and the engineers like you to really explore and find some very, very sound kind of answers to the counter-UAS area, which is a big gap as far as we are concerned. Don't bother about the platforms, bother about the wrap-on technologies. Wrap-on technologies are the ones like AI, cyber, EW. These are the ones which have to be put on your platforms like tanks, light tanks, etc. Because rest of the things will come on its own course and pace. What we need to be up and about is about the wrap-on technology, the new age technologies which we have to focus on. So with this, where are the impacts taking place? The impacts, the technologies which are actually impacting the warfare are essentially hypersonics, quantum, and then you have AI, you have whole host of exoskeleton. Exoskeleton is, improving the performance of human beings. The human beings are supposed to lift 20 kgs, they can lift 50 kgs. So such kind of innovations are taking place. So therefore, all this is having a very, very, I would say, pronounced change on the warfare, nature of warfare. If you look at the nature of warfare, I have mentioned it in the passing in the previous slide, but just to put it into some kind of a bullet point: multi-domain operations, cognitive warfare. These are the two areas which you will find that most of you will be affected, including the cognitive warfare, but the civil population will also get targeted by our adversaries. It has already been done in many forms in the previous encounter which we had. However, it does not imply that, the conventional operations have gone out of the window. No, they have not gone out of the window. Warfare changes fast, but it also has some legacies along with it. And those legacies keep on dragging it. So if you find Russia-Ukraine war, Sudan war, about 12 million people were displaced, thousands were killed. Myanmar civil war, every year thousands of people are being killed. Israel-Hamas war, 50,000 Gazans dead. In what? In that small little 20-kilometer strip. Then you have Russia-Ukraine war. I will highlight the impact of drones on Russia-Ukraine war as we go along, so I'm not going to cover it. But look at the global figures. The global figures are scary. For example, in 2024, global losses in casualties due to warfare were 233,000. That's no mean number. It rose to peak in 2022 with 310,000. Now, so 310,000, that's a huge number again. During World War II, the casualties were around, and that was fought over a 5-year period across the entire, I would say, Africa and Asia. There, the losses were about 50 million or so. So what you are seeing is that figures are rapidly catching. If you add up all these figures of the last 4 or 5 years, you might be reaching that figure very soon. So to say that we are not at war, I think that would be an understatement. What are the key technologies? I had highlighted earlier, but I'll speak about them in a little more specific manner. AI, EW, space, autonomous systems, counter-UAS systems, quantum, exoskeleton. I've mentioned all these. But what is important is US has achieved about 5 Mach speeds in the hypersonic area. We are still behind in this. We need to catch up in these areas, so these are opportunities again. In AI in defense, the likely growth is going to be 10 billion globally, establishing of, enabling autonomous swarms, predictive analytics, target recognition and reduced operator burden and shortening the OODA loop. These are the areas where we need to work upon. Today, data is so much that it's becoming very difficult for our operators to handle the data. So therefore, edge computing is very important. Everything cannot be centrally handled. Then you have the big challenge of UAS, which I mentioned earlier itself. I'm not going to repeat this particular point. This is one area all of you are invited to do whatever innovations which you want to do, whatever jugaad which you want to do to ensure that, because it will help all of you, and that is contained in the in the kind of threats which you might face. Being in Bangalore, being in Gujarat, being in, you are next to a Jamnagar refinery, let me tell you, all of you are under threat. So that's the kind of importance you have to give for the drones, because they will reach anywhere and everywhere. They can be launched from the air, they can be launched from the ship, they can be launched from the land. So it is something which I think all of you have to work upon. Look at the wraparound technologies. When I mean that the AI, etc., have to go around the drones, go around the tanks, go on the on board these major platforms to make them more lethal and effective. So you have Ukraine's $400 each drones neutralizing Russian tanks. They have 60 into 1,000 drones beating 3 million Iron Dome. Then you have Reaper drones of US being brought down by cheap drones of the Houthis. Fallout. There is no peace and war anymore. The fallout of this is that all of you are in a zone of gray where wars can take place any time and anywhere. So in specific terms, what is the impact of drones? And the proof of the pudding lies in seeing the data of what the drones are doing. So first thing which I will do is, I will cover the financial data. This will give you the growth at which this particular sector is growing. In 2025, it is presumed that 8.2 billion worth will be spent globally on drones and counter drones. That's a huge amount. And this is only for the military, let me tell you. If you total up the civilian sector, I think this figures will be much, much more larger. Then if you look at the the top 5 spenders. Now this figure will kind of confuse you. Anybody, you notice China is missing in this, right? And why China is missing in this is because China is not sharing the data. But don't be disheartened. I have got data of last 5 years of 2017 to 2021 of China and Russia, etc. And you will get to know exactly how much they are sharing. It is now commonly assessed that China has surpassed the US by miles as far as drones are concerned. They are in the drones in a big way. How far their drones will be successful, that's the question mark, because they have not been battle tested. So they were slightly battle tested in the Sindur, but I don't think they gave them really the best of their lot as far as Pakistan was concerned. We can show, say for sure only either when they employ against the Taiwanese or when they employ against us. That is the time I think the cat will be out of the bag, whether their drones or their technology is worth enough ruggedized to face enemy like India. So having seen this, let me share the big figure. This is the share of China, Russia, UK, Australia, India, France, Saudi Arabia, and of 2017 to 2021. The label is not there, but I have got the figure in my mind, by heart. The China is $4.5 billion, right? The second one is Russia, $3.9 billion. The third one is UK, $3.1 billion. Fourth, Australia is $3.1 billion. India, France, and Saudi Arabia, $2.5 billion in the period of 5 years, 2017 to 2021. So that's the kind of market which you are looking at. So I mean, it's up for grabs for all of you. Go ahead and devise as many devices you want to do, but make sure that you also devise things to protect yourself. The title, you have to survive to live the other day, to use these technologies. So that is something which we need to be careful about. Look at the drones have gone to the non-state actors, Houthis. And what are they causing? Nobody, I mean, actually notices the kind of damage which they are causing. You see, $200 billion just spent on the shipping for rerouting the shipping. Then you have oil prices spikes. Whenever they attack, the oil prices rise up. It affects your economy. Then you have the civilian casualties. Houthis have caused almost more than 19,000 people killed since 2021 as far as Saudi Arabia is concerned. So the kind of tools which we are now developing are no more restricted to government sector or to a particular controlled organization. No, it can very well go to a non-state actor. It can very well go to anyone who's trying to do mischief. It is going into smuggling. It is going into criminal activities. Whole lot of things are happening with the drones. Drones are becoming a big challenge as far as we are concerned. Let me also share the Russia-Ukraine data. I wanted to do it separately just to make you all understand. Casualties, 500,000 to 1,000, almost 10 lakhs. So between this, which is the correct figure, we don't know, and this is the combined figure. But still, it's a lot of life. People are importing people from North Korea to fight their war. Similarly, there are private contractors who are supplying or who are kind of giving soldiers to fight for Ukraine. Both sides are indulging in it. After all, these are human beings, but they are being used as though, they are just expendable entity. I think we need to be very careful. Look at the cause of damage as far as Russia is concerned. 60 to 70% of their entire damage is by drones. Where are the other weapons? Look at the battlefield casualties, 80% by drones. Infantrymen are actually running around to go and hide inside the bunker. And that is why you find in Russia-Ukraine war, there is a trench warfare going on, both sides. They are digging in, First World War. So technologies are forcing people to go back into the First World War. I was having a conversation in Israel in a webinar with my counterparts there. They are also part of a think tank. And we were discussing something about the Israel-Hamas war, and the DG from the other side, she's a lady, Karas Witte, she said, don't mind if we run away if we hear the sirens during the webinar. So that will become the life of people if we let this monster out of the bag free for all. So we need to also have controls over it. Coming down to the Indian context now. In the Indian context, I would like to highlight few things. I will not go over these points. Most of it you people are aware, kindly read it. I will post you a figure which is not there on the slide. In warfare, as far as India is concerned, in a small core zone, which would be about roughly, you can say 300 kilometers by 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers, that much area, the number of UAS systems which you might find overhead would be around 9,000 plus. Number of counter-UAS systems which we are trying to develop, whether they are electronic, whether they are laser, whether they are directed energy, 12,000. The quantum of ammunition which is going to be there, 180,000 rounds, all types. Missiles, over 1,000. 2,000 radio frequency emitters. That's the technology which you are going to see, and you have to be careful that the wars do not extend the way they are extending. I think that was one of the reasons why India decided to end the war when we were on a winning spree, right? So please understand why the war was controlled. It was controlled because we have a larger aim of becoming a developed nation by 2047. I think we should not lose sight of that. Coming down to Op Synindur, because that was something which I thought all of you would, it was a first time round in the history of India, a tri-service joint operations coordinated by and large at the apex level by the National Security Advisor and the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff. Drones played a pivotal role in this. They were the eyes in the sky. ISR was their primary function, and they also did some offensive actions as well. India destroyed about 9 to 12 Pakistani air bases, neutralized multiple drone attacks with 95% accuracy. Here again, it was our foresight of 4-5 years back which came handy in destroying the drones. We had legacy systems of air defense of 1960 vintage. They used to fire those bullets, you know, which are, you find them in the machine guns, etc. You see it in the movies. But they don't have any smartness in them. If you are able to, they were based on mass. You fire as many rounds as possible and hope like hell that it hits one odd drone. You know what we did was we put some smart ammunition in the belt of these weapon systems, and it was these smart ammunition which shot the drones and shot them down. So we did some kind of an innovation, jugaad jisko bolte hain. So that was done to ensure that none of the drones of the Pakistanis were able to hit you back. I mean, so the army keeps on doing some kind of war gaming as it goes along. We have to fight with what we have, but it doesn't mean that we sit on what we have. We have to go forward in that. Similarly, you found, industries came forward in a big way. Let me tell you, they really said that we will give you anything, whatever you want. If you have to purchase it, we will purchase it and give it. That is the kind of national effort which we saw within the army, and I think hats off to all of you, whosoever was involved in those 4-5 days in helping the nation tide over that particular thing. Adani's homegrown system was used in a very effective manner. Abhyas is a UAV, or it's kind of a decoy aircraft which was able to fool the Pakistani air defense system, because of which we were able to actually hit on the HQ-9 air defense system of Pakistan in Lahore. So a lot of things were done which were, I would say, on the feet thinking, red teaming, etc. Pak was able to attack by about 300 to 400 drones. Most of them were ineffective. I don't think anyone caused any major damage to us. So with that, I would go to the next one, which is analysis. You know what surprised as far as the CDS is concerned? Loitering ammunition. This was one good thing which we were doing from past few years. Air Chief said that it was a demonstration of a modern war fighting. I fully agree with him. Precision over escalation, fantastic escalation control. None of the wars which are being fought all over the world, they are actually being controlled. They are all, going astray. Wars are continuing, people are suffering. Whether you take Israel-Hamas, whether you take Russia-Ukraine, there is no end in sight. It is always said, and many thinkers have said, it is easy to start a war, but it is very difficult to end a war. I think the Indians believe in it. We went into 1971, we started the war. We had to fight the war for liberation of Bangladesh. We finished the work, 13 days, out of it. So that's the kind of strategy which we have to follow. So therefore, I think whatever we did this time was excellent. Then there are some challenges also which were exposed, and these are, if we have high jamming environment like the Chinese claim to have, then we will have problems at our hand. So therefore, this is one area which I think is still open for development as far as drones are concerned. Op Synindur also demonstrated to us that it was a technology-driven war, but it was only a blueprint. It was just a trailer. Actual war is going to be even more intense, even more dangerous, and likely to cause even more damages. So with that, I have been told to finish my talk. So what I'll do is, I'll briefly just cover this about capabilities. What I'm saying is that we have a very limited arsenal as of now. This needs to be enhanced in scale. It's open to all of you to do so. Then we have endurance and resilience is a challenge. See, everything is possible depending on the batteries. And if we don't have the battery pack enough to take the drones far, that much of limitation. High altitude, our terrain is such that we have problems of jungle, high altitude, etc. We have a very specific problem. India is the only country which has all kinds of terrain. So one equipment is very difficult to fit to every place. That is a big challenge. In China, there is a university only looking at battery packs. For the last 20 years, they have miniaturized their batteries to such an extent that they can carry their systems as far as possible. So something like that approach has to be followed by us. Then if you look at the opportunities, this is the one which I thought I will leave you all with, and that is that India's the opportunities are, as far as they are concerned, we have projections of 23 billion by 2030. So huge scope there. 70% of local content is what is already available with us. We need to go beyond. Indigenous supply chains have to be created so that we are not stranded during a war. Dual-use technologies can be exploited. Agriculture can be used for the defense. Then we have innovation requirements, strap-ons, what all can we do. There is an anecdote on that issue also with me. I did something which was very unique as part of my service, and now it is being done in a large scale. Force structuring has to be done carefully, radars, EOIRs, etc., so that we have a very robust system. You must have seen the announcement which the chief made about 2-3 units being created, Barrow Battalion, then drone platoons, etc. So those are the special forces now which are being created to take the drone warfare in a much more organized fashion and not ad hoc manner. And lastly, it is a scope where a lot of employment can be generated. With that, I have finished my talk with this quote. There is a DFI kind of an organization. Please collaborate with them. NASSCOM will benefit a lot with this. This particular organization, I came to know about it, so I thought I must flash this slide. Thank you very much, Jai Hind.